Well, I never really wanted to say that I told you so, but I really did tell you so. I told you. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for episode 8, which is entitled Lionel. This is, of course, we are still going along with this 10-part series here on Netflix called the Jeffrey Dahmer story. This monster. It is being told by Ryan Murphy. This episode, Lionel, of course, is the father, Lionel Dahmer. Um, Again, I never wanted to be the one to say I told you so, but I did. I said that something was not right about Jeffrey's father, and I was correct. He goes into this episode and he ends up saying some things, and we'll get to it. Where yeah, I wasn't too surprised. Um, yeah, yeah, I noticed some things about him early on that just did not sit right with me. But anyway, um, when we start into this, we actually see him going to visit, getting to see Jeffrey, and he hugs him, and the room has a feel like maybe Jeffrey basically had 5 traffic tickets, and this is why he's been placed, you know, in a facility. It doesn't have the feel like he killed all these people and did all these heinous things. It's just so light with him, like, oh, whatever. He's asking him, he says, oh, I guess I really didn't done it this time, huh? I'm sorry, Dad. Just as though he had a bunch of traffic tickets or something. How's grandma? Did you fix her air conditioner? Are you serious right now? At the time, there was no television station that you could turn on where this wasn't being covered. And you're asking about grandma's air conditioner. Really? Lionel was saying, I didn't really realize how sick that you were. Why did you do this? Why? And he told me you have to take some responsibility for what you've done to the family. So at this point, Lionel is he's looking at what's actually happened, and again, he's out in the world, so he knows, they can't pull up anywhere without the paparazzi, and because there was paparazzi and there was also reporters and all kind of people, and I'm sure hate mail and all, listen, everything and everybody was in an uproar. Okay. And he's still worried about the image of the family. Well, baby, that's done. That's done. That last name ain't even a last name that nobody even wants to touch upon. And that's just it's a bad thing, but it just when you hear the last name, you know, it, as far as the last name, it's done, honey. Whatever it is, and take responsibility, ain't gonna change nothing. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. The court of public opinion will always drag when it comes to that name. The court of public opinion will never be kind when it comes to your name. So it doesn't really matter. But he was, just where their head is. Jeffrey is like whatever, like he's moving on and it ain't no big deal. And his dad is worried about how people feel in the streets. Both totally out of touch with what's really going on. Um, Jeffrey says, I think some of it started, he asked him, why'd you do it? Where did it start from? Where'd you get so in this? He says, I think it started like when you used to take me to do the roadkill thing, and honey, that thing snapped out. You're not going to lay this on me. I didn't do this. I'm like, again, you aren't really worried about him. You're worried about you at this point and how people view you. Well, guess what? It's not normal to take your child to pick up roadkill to work on. That's not normal. It's not normal. I'm sorry, but it just isn't. It's everybody had some piece in it. Everybody has some piece in it. Everybody, the family, grandma had a piece in it, knowing something was wrong and trying to ignore it. Mama had a piece in it, taking 900 pills a day and being pregnant and thinking that was normal. Uh, he had a piece in it, sitting by her, watching her take all those pills. Nobody can make me believe that anybody sat around and it never crossed their mind that she lived, what did they say, 26 or 28 pills a day? And you honestly thought that wasn't going to bother an embryo? Nobody can make me believe that never crossed anybody's mind. As things went on, there's things that you could, hindsight 2020, go back and look at things and say that, you missed it, you didn't. I mean, as people, we're wired that way. We're wired that way. As parents, every person who has done any portion of raising of a little person can go back and say, I probably could have stopped this if I had paid attention to that. That's life. That's life. Some things are bigger than others. Some things are bigger than others. If I had paid more attention to my child, I could have, cut that off and there wouldn't have been that little piece of heartbreak right there. I probably could have saved them from that. I could have sheltered them from that. Always I could have done that. So I won't believe that nobody in the Dahmer family has actually looked back and said, you know what, maybe if I had did this, or maybe if I had been paying attention, well, dang, that was something that was a court of public opinion. You all are losing and you'll always lose. That's my opinion. Y'all write it down there in the comment. But I believe as far as the Dahmer family goes, everybody played a part. And then not just the family, the police, by all means. The police force in Milwaukee should just put their head down when the whole subject comes up. Just put your head down. Just put your head down, because a lot of fault falls in the lap of that police force. A whole lot. Child. You talk about if white privilege was a person. Anyway, moving on. So, like I said, daddy worried about the court of public opinion. Ain't no need to worry. You lose. Moving on. Joyce, we see Joyce and all of this. I figured that things would be getting to her. She's dealt with her trauma and she's done some things to help herself along. But I said, I'm sure before they even showed her, I said, I'm sure she's having a rough time. But they showed it. She gets in there and she literally, she was kind of fighting back. She was doing the same thing Lionel was doing. She was pretty much kind of pushing the blame in her mind towards Lionel, the way he was literally blaming her. Like he flat out blamed Joyce. I couldn't believe it. But she had actually sat with a client, and her job, she's there to tell a client his HIV testing results, and he was negative. And you can see this guy was he was so nervous about getting his results. And she said he's negative. He just broke out to crying, and with tears of joy. And she was crying, and he said, "Excuse me, ma'am, because she had grabbed his hands and everything as though she was going to console him. But it seemed as though she needed to console it herself. And he says, "Why are you crying?" And she said, "I'm just happy you don't have to tell your mother bad news." And I said, "Wow, that's heavy." Because again, you worried about you. You're the mother of the monster, and you literally are worried about you and your image and kind of how you feel. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how to feel about that. I mean, should she be racked with guilt? Because, parents aren't always responsible for it. Like when the kids grow up and they do things, no, you're not 100% at fault. But this attitude of place and blame just came across so, in a way, wicked. In a way, wicked. Like, I mean, because I think it's kind of unfair a lot of times when people, every little thing that a child does, they blame on the mother. Oh, it's the mother and was that, or the father was that. But this is a little bit different. This is a little different. This is not the person that grows up to be a thief who used to steal candy from the corner store. This is a little bit deeper than that. It's a little deeper than that. And it just, the way in which Lionel and Joyce just try to take themselves out of it zero, with zero accountability. Like they played no part in the raising of the boy. And they made clear mistakes. The abandonment and the way they handled things and the way they the shutdown and all the dysfunction in the home, they're acting like it just didn't even exist. And then they eventually turn on each other and blame each other. I don't know. It seems very cold and callous on their part to have went to this, oh, it's all about me and how it's affected me. I don't know. I, I don't know. It was bothersome to me. It really did bother me. It bothered me. Um, Moving on. Lionel, like I said, has started blaming Joyce about the pills, talking about she never even held him. Well, at the time when she didn't hold him, you weren't holding him either. He was pretty much just kind of making it through by himself. You didn't hold him either. It's like when I think about it, it's like it seemed as a child, it seemed like Jeffrey was lonely in a crowded room. I didn't see David being handled that way. It just seemed like Jeffrey was handled that way. And then things that have been said, to him throughout us watching this, yeah, it's like he was lonely in a crowded room. So they need to stop that place of blame. He said she left him in that house. He was talking to his new lady. She left him in that house. Then he actually did confess to his new girlfriend, Lionel, that he used to try to make bombs back when he was younger. He tried to hypnotize a neighborhood girl, wanted to have sex with her, but wanted to be in control. Some of them same traits that boy got. And then he said, some of this is my fault. This is when he was kind of, some of the blame was starting to shift and it was starting to dig in like cut it out. You had some stuff too. And you could see him starting to come around. He said, that he sat in church and fantasized about killing a person. I said, oh, yeah, baby, you got a whole lot going on. Once he started, you start seeing a difference a little bit in there. But he was still blaming Joyce, but there was more and more coming out of some of the similarities. And he was saying, I passed that on to him. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Now, The acknowledgement is all that's actually necessary, is the acknowledgement. You ain't got to grovel in it, but you must acknowledge it and be truthful with yourself, if not anyone else. And this is the part I saw when I told y'all, I told you, said, strange. Ain't none of that normal. Sitting in church, fantasizing about murdering a person. Those were the thoughts that were going through your head in God's house. You didn't think that was wrong with you? Of all places. You don't think nothing wrong with you? I promise you there is. I promise you there is. Thank God you had enough sense or enough of something else, the wherewithal, something else floating through you that kept you from going over the side. Jeffrey went on over the side, and then when the girl, for instance, well, David's normal. We don't know David's story. We don't know David's story. David come from the same bloodline. We don't know David's story. We don't know what type of thoughts that David had. And as a matter of fact, I sat here and I thought about it. It'd be very interesting to have an actual conversation with David and see, would he be honest? That's probably something that we'll never know. That's something we'll never know. But they got the same bloodline, same bloodline, same father, same mother. That would be very interesting to find out more about David. Very interesting to find out what has he battled with darkness in his corners. Um, anyway, we actually end up seeing where the grandmother, and I thought, oh, where's the grandmother? What's going on with the grandmother with all this? At this point, grandma basically has slipped into dementia. She really is unaware of what's really going on. We've seen them in the house. The house is naturally a crime scene. They're digging up stuff. They're all over the house. Um, Lionel comes in and he's just begging, let me just take my mom and go in the room. He sat in the room with her. She's playing solitaire or whatever. And she just, poor thing, she's just out of it. She's clueless as to what's going on. She said, Jeff, she's looking for Jeff. She's just clueless, you know. I'm sure the stress of how it all kicked off probably pushed her, into that realm a little more. Again, the mind, you never know. You never know. It's an awful lot for a lady her age to handle. But she was blanked out. She's blanked out. So really kind of unaffected by what was going on. Sad. That was sad. Uh, all while this is going on, there's March on Milwaukee being held, being ran by Reverend Jesse Jackson. And he spoke in church, told them, I am not here. He had the governor there and the mayor, and they were all there at the church showing face, giving face services. I'm not here sowing division. I'm calling out for accountability. And we will not rest until the empty words are replaced with decisive action. Shortly thereafter, the police chief called those two officers in that took the 14-year-old back to the place, and they are put on paid leave while the investigation is going on. And their attitudes were real extra. Real extra. You understand? That privilege showed up again. They told the police chief to his face, we will be here long after you are gone. The union's going to fight for us. I said, well, I'll be damned. Said, okay. That was pretty bold and brazen. But that's a lot of too with what you've done. Oh, this was a joke. Oh, that was a joke. Oh, it was about them gays. And I mean, just not apologetic about it at all. Not apologetic about it at all. All those lives lost, you know. Okay. I mean, how can you not, as a police officer? The truth of the matter is, had you done your job, had you done your job, everybody who perished after the 14-year-old should have never even happened. How can you look yourself in the mirror and not realize that? Had you two, this is just one of you, two of you, had they done their job, no one else would have perished. No one. And there's a bunch of people that perished after that. And that's what you have. The union's going to fight for my job, and we'll be here long after you go on. Yeah, all right. Okay, so we see this meeting with Jeff, his dad, and a lawyer. They're trying to figure out a strategy, and of course, they always grab another case and they try to put them against each other and try to use that as a defense and all of that good stuff. Here at the time, this is when Jeffrey has said that narcissistic beast is being fed when you let him. You're on the cover of Newsweek, you're on the cover of People, and he says, oh, can I keep these so I can read them? They're like, no, no. And I'm sitting there and they're trying to go for this insanity plea, and I'm like, he is a bit insane. I mean, it's showing he's a bit insane and just a touch narcissistic and enjoying himself a bit too much. And I said that scared me as far as the insanity plea went, because I'm like, he's showing that he ain't too wrapped too tight, because he's just too in this. They start talking about the story of this Ed Gein guy, who was similar, you know. He was similar. His whole the way things went, and they would say we can go this way, this route, and use this to actually balance it and go for a not guilty by way of insanity plea. And Jeffrey's attitude with that, he said, well, his story, it sounds a bit like a cartoon. And the lawyer was like a cartoon. And it's the funny thing is they sound the stories were daggone near parallel. The stories were dang near parallel. But his tude, I said, baby, in front of a jury, his tude is one of no remorse. For you to say how ridiculous the story about the other man is, and your story is dang near parallel, a jury is going to yank you. But whatever. And the lawyer was like, I said, child, I know you feel defeated, because that you're really dealing with a nut right now. But whatever. Sure enough, they go to court. The insanity plea is denied. Right there at the court, Lionel and Joyce end up getting into it real bad out in the hallway after that actually happens. Child, that Lionel is just all over himself, because now you're literally in the court of public opinion, and now you're in the public acting a fool. The girlfriend's trying to get him to hush. He's screaming at Joyce because she was like leaving. She's mortified. She's really, he's screaming at Joyce, telling her, how many pills are you taking? It's your fault. It's your fault. Just when I thought he was making some headway, you back clowning again. It's all about you again. Now you blaming Joyce again. Crazy. Then Joyce, she tripping. Joyce goes, a little after that, goes to one of the victim's grandmother's house. Well, it's the victim's house, the mother's house. The grandmother answers the door. Took her ass over there and asked the grandmother about them requesting for him to go to a facility and not to go to prison. That woman really handled herself well. But it was like, lady, are you serious right now? You're literally asking me, who have lost my grandchild to the hands of your child, to help with him getting a lesser sentence. You want me to accommodate your boy when my boy got taken up out of here. Have you lost your mind? Is this whole family crazy? Moving on. The grandmother said, listen, everybody done heard whatever y'all got to say. It's time for you to hear what other people got to say. And next time you see them all in court, honey, we got the victims' families' statements, and it was just, it was a lot. I seen some of this back in the day. I kind of try to tune out, but some of these things I seen. Errol Isbell's sister that's a clip that will always go down in history of how she snapped out and cussed Jeffrey Dahmer out in the courtroom and told him she hated him, and she called him all kind of mother, and it just it the young lady who actually reenacted it, I mean, she's spot on. She's spot on. That's something again that Ryan Murphy is very good at, reenactment, and actually finding people and actually paying attention to all the details, and really it's like he just recreates these moments, and it just kind of it cuts through, which is one of the things where you got to kind of pull back from this story because it's so much like the real stuff. Then you had Tony's mother, and Tony was episode 6. What happened with Tony? And episode 6 dang near took me all the way up out of this whole series. So seeing her go through these poems and different things, it was a lot. It was a lot. And then we sitting there, Lionel was literally in a daze. He's just literally in a daze. And then Jeffrey goes up and delivers his own statement to the court. And he basically he said he wanted death for himself, and he basically was claiming to be sorry. And Lionel was just sitting there in a daze, just in a daze. And I was like, what is going through his mind right now? What's going through his mind? After that, we see Lionel talk to Jeffrey, and he basically tells him that he is taking responsibility for him being the way that he is. I think through hearing the victim statements and stuff, I said, I guess that's it. That's what brought it on home, brought it all full circle. And he basically was telling Jeffrey, I take responsibility. I'm wrong. These things, I should have seen it. I should have kind of pulled back, and I just wasn't a good father to you. I played a part in leaving you in all of this as well. And, it just got really, really real at that point. And Jeffrey's like, no, Dad. Dad was like, well, no, yes, let's shut up and let him talk because what he's saying is true. Then we got Joyce. Joyce, it got her. She sits down and writes an apology letter, apologizing for all the parts she played in raising him and leaving him. And then she also talks about how sorry she is to be leaving David. And then we see her, she unplugs the gas line from the stove, and she's trying to commit sideways, and she was unsuccessful. She was unsuccessful. Now, right after that it happened, and I said, well, okay, you know then we actually see Lionel, and we see Lionel's girlfriend, and or she's his wife now. I think she's actually a wife at this point. She comes and she says to him, that David's actually on the phone, and David is talking about how Joyce is trying to commit sideways, but she's, she's better now. She's doing well. She wasn't successful with it. He's over there plugging away. He gonna write a book. I said, Just when you think these people, he's writing a book about the situation. So you're gonna make some money now off of this. Really? Really, sir? And so unconcerned. He says, I'll call her back. Oh, okay, I'll call her back. I'll call her and I'll call back, talk to him a little bit, then I'll call and see about her. I'll call and talk to her later. Are you not hearing she tried to commit sideways? You couldn't stop plugging away at that old time typewriter. I said, these people are all gone. Just gone. Next thing we see, the police officers that told the police chief, the union's going to fight for us. I guess they said, prove me right. Because, baby, they got reinstated and pardoned and got back pay for the time that they were off. You heard what I said. Just as though they had been wronged. I was too done. Too done. And then Jesse Jackson, the last we see of Jesse Jackson is in this episode where he says, well, we will just keep fighting. We will keep on and we will just keep on fighting. Keep on fighting. It's nothing. This part of this was nothing more than what had happened to Glenda, but just on a larger scale. On a larger scale. It was so proof positive that nobody cares. No one cared. No one cared. No one cared because of who it happened to. No one cared. You couldn't even dance around it. There ain't nothing you could say to make it look like anything different. No one cared because of who the victims were. Black, brown, melanated people, LGBTQIA people, and then a couple other people just sprinkled in that nobody just cared about. They, sideways, don't nobody care nothing about them. But for the most part, the don't care was because they were all black and brown people and they were LGBTQIA. Child. Get on about my face. Anyway, it just, this has been one of the most disturbing things that I have ever actually sat through. Seriously, it really is. This is episode 8. I don't have anything else to say about this episode. We got 2 more to go. I will say thank you again, and I keep thanking y'all because it's real. I thank you. I know what I'm putting myself through doing this. I've gotten a lot of messages back from people who say they literally cannot watch it. They can't watch it. And they are enjoying themselves by, me doing what it is that I do and sharing my thoughts on it. So, I'm happy to be able to do that because it is a lot and it's rough, but I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it. The other people who are actually behind me, and I keep getting emails and they're saying, all right, James, we got you, keep on, keep plugging. We see, it's real. It's real. This has been really heavy. This is nothing like anything else that I've ever done before. I do a lot of reality shows and stuff, and that's just a key because it's, reality is just as fake as it can be. It's just a good time. This ain't no good time. This is real life mess, pure mess. And it has been rough, but all in all, I think it's worth it. Because again, there's lessons. There's many lessons in this. Looking back at this, and people need to hear it. People need to hear it. Child, protect your neck. Be careful in what you do. Keep watching yourself. Listen to that inner voice. Things have changed a lot as far as, black and brown people. Things have changed, but we got a whole long way to go. Long way to go. LGBTQIA, baby, I ain't got to tell y'all. Y'all already know. Protect your neck. Protect your neck. You understand? So I feel like I'm going to help somebody. So that's why I keep plugging. I keep plugging. This is a lot. This is a lot. All right. Not here to preach. I'm here to talk about the story. Anyway, I'm gone right now. We got 2 more episodes left. I will see you soon with episode 9. This has been episode 8. It was titled Lionel. I will talk to you guys soon.